And you made it back. You made it back. You made it back to Sonic Weekly, the show that appears in your content delivery system every 7 days or so. My name is Grant, and with me here is Bo. Hi, Bo.
Speed me up. Hey, I don't say it often enough. I'm happy to be talking about Sonic with you, my friends, here.
That is a great point. I 100% agree. And I wonder if the star of our show, who is coming out of the shadows and into the spotlight, his name is David the Lurker. David, how do you feel about talking about Sonic the Hedgehog with friends?
Whoa, hi Grant, hi Bo. Well, you know how I feel. I am 110% locked in to talk about Sonic the Hedgehog with friends. What else is there even to do in life? You wake up, you make a cup of coffee, or Joe, as the hip kids call it. And as you sip,
make a cup of little take up.
And then you sit there and you have your little notebook and you are like, what things could I talk about involving Sonic the Hedgehog today? And you start writing things down like, oh yeah, we've already talked about CD taking place between 1 and 2. And, you flip through it. And that's when, of course, you open SonicStadium.org to find out if anything new has happened. Whoa, that's almost a segue.
Pretty good one.
I am locked and loaded.
Amazing. Well, yeah. I mean, why stop the momentum? Let's follow your segue.
Whoa, you're right. Okay, yeah. Then I just go to SonicStadium.org. I go, oh god, it updated. I click the news. I see that somebody liked a post I wrote on their forums in 2014 and get confused by that. And then I see what the top news. What is the top news story this week? Hey, we are technically in Sonic's 35th anniversary, and Sega is plotting and planning. And we don't know all of their plots and plans, their plans and plots. But one thing that they teased and then already announced since the last time we recorded is they are starting a Chaotic Case Files Sonic the Hedgehog podcast. Crime podcast? I guess is what we're supposed to think it is. Whoa.
Yeah, like a radio play is what I think it's going to be. But it's also going to be on YouTube, is my understanding. So it will be somewhat along the lines of Chow Tales, but with dialogue.
I'm interested to know where they're going with this. Is it going to be a spoof of Serial? I hope so.
Who is murdered?
I could see. That wouldn't shock me if there's like a serial parody angle to it, because it's definitely true. Like true crime podcasts are a hugely popular genre, and that seems like a fun thing. What's interesting too is the creative talent behind the Chaotix podcast was revealed, and Ian Jones-Quartey is directing, of OKKO fame, who did the Sonic crossover episode of OKKO, which is very fun. So we know he's a Sonic fan, of course. He's always, he's been a voice in the fandom for almost as long as he's had a notable animation career. So it's exciting to see him directing.
Great pick.
What I thought was really interesting, too, was the writer is not one of the Ians, not any Ian. In fact, it's Dan Jolly. And he might be the most experienced writer to come into the Sonic franchise. Because usually the Sonic franchise, it's often writers who are starting out or writers who've had, maybe a little bit of experience. But Dan Jolly has got like 20 years experience. So I'm very intrigued by how
what's his greatest hit? What's he known for on the Wikipedia?
Yeah. He's worked on DC Comics' Firestorm. And then a series of interactive fiction or game books in graphic novel form. He has a young adult series called Alex Unlimited.
Okay, so
which
is
Firestorm?
Experienced hands here.
He created Jason Rush, the second Firestorm, with artist Chris Cross.
Okay. Oh man, I was.
He began
Chris
his
Cross,
career
I
in
love
the early 90s.
their hip hop in the 90s. Yeah.
Yes. Different Chris Cross, I think. Yes. Different Chris. Is it? Yes. Christopher Williams.
Right. I was all in on that
he did
Firestorm
Milestone.
series when it was coming
really?
out. Yeah, because that was right around the time of Infinite Crisis, that version of Firestorm. Because original Firestorm died in Identity Crisis, which, sure, let's kill him off. Why not? That comic did a lot of things. And they're like, but we can't get rid of Firestorm. We have to have a new one. They brought him in just in time for one crazy crossover. Right, because Dan Jolly when you type in Dan Jolly, there are a few Dan Jollies. There is another Dan Jolly who was involved with Survivor and The Bachelorette, but I guess that's not the same one.
Yeah, this Dan, his last name is spelled Jolley.
EY.
So, I may even not be saying it right. It may be Jolie.
Okay, that's right. I typed it without the E. That's probably why I didn't get it at first.
Either would be interesting. Bring some of that reality show.
I think it would be funny. Mix. I mean, they're diving into as many ideas as possible. Maybe next year is when we'll get the Sonic reality show.
I'm upping my expectations based on this discussion. From the original tease, I thought they were going to do a history podcast where they would interview people who were involved with the franchise over the years, and that would be the format. But this is not that, and more interesting.
It is interesting. I will play a Dark Chow advocate instead of a devil's advocate here for a moment, and say that although the Chaotix Detective Agency and a true crime podcast makes some sense as a pairing, when I think about the Chaotix voices, it's not exactly. I don't know if I want to hear Charmy and Vector. Those two, especially SPO's kind of doesn't make a difference. But Charmy and Vector, those are. So I wonder if there's going to be a narrator, who is not one of the Chaotix, or Sonic, who maybe it's an unreliable narrator. Maybe the narrator becomes part of the story. Or I don't know, but if it's Vector being like, it was February 28th and it was raining as she came into my... Like, does that whole voice... That surely cannot be what they're doing, right?
Who's this broad?
And you're like, yeah. The trailer that they put up, it does have a trailer announcer who I think somebody said is the voice actor who does Vector. I thought I saw that somewhere, but I don't quote me on that. I could be wrong. So it is possible that there will be an omniscient narrator who does not sound like Vector. The trailer, we know that Sonic's in it. We also know that Eggman's in it. I mean, I guess Sega is sort of all in on the Chaotix because last year was the concept of Chaotix, their 30th anniversary. They had a one shot from IDW, which was modern Chaotix, not classic. Oh no. But it was also a case. There was art. Actually, I don't think I read it, so I don't really know what happens in it. But you know what?
It was fun. It's a good story.
Yeah, they're doubling down on the Chaotix. I don't mind that.
I suspect this was a project that maybe was supposed to come out last year, or maybe was supposed to be timed with the Chaotix 30th anniversary, and then it probably just that anniversary doesn't matter all that much because they clearly aren't re-releasing the game.
Right.
Knuckles' Chaotix on the Sega 32X is still only on the Sega 32X, not on any compilation.
And I feel like they've also come up with a theme for each year, right? The Year of Shadow, the Year of Cross Worlds. And maybe they had this scheduled for last year, but it didn't fit the Cross Worlds. Right,
because it was racing around the world. And
that's right.
Unless it's a madcap race around the world to recover a lost artifact, and they had to go into like fancy cars.
Well, I know Grant played Dark Chow Advocate. I am still upping my expectations here because just the way you were spinning out that Raymond Chandler story with Vector sort of works for me because you know what my introduction to the Raymond Chandler style mystery was a kid's book about a cat that's a detective.
Oh, wow. I like that.
It was a direct parody of all those Raymond Chandler books from the 40s.
That's right.
It totally went over my head, but I liked it. And then when I read the source material years later, I thought like, hey, that's where all that came from.
Yeah. This guy's stealing from the cat.
Anyway, but I am also looking forward to, maybe this is a father-son's sort of experience. Turn on the radio, play around the fireplace. It'll be like the 1930s, but in the 2020s.
Yeah, I think it's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to it. I think that the Chaotix as a starting point gives you an excuse to, kind of similar to how they did with the murder of Sonic the Hedgehog, gives you like an excuse to like interview the whole cast and go through the Sonic world in a different circuitous route.
Right.
That's what I was thinking is Murder of the Sonic the Hedgehog is the right comparison. And to me, this seems like a high variance thing. Like it'll either be really good or we'll just all forget about it within a week of its release.
Right.
But yeah, I'm interested to see how this turns out.
Was there any mention? Is it a one-off? Is it meant to be multiple episodes? I don't know.
I believe it's a series.
It is a series. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think you can have a
99% sure it's
podcast series with fewer than 6 episodes, can you?
Yeah, that's true. We don't know how many episodes. We don't know how long it's going to last. And we don't know if they're going to drop all at once or on a weekly or bi-weekly or whatever timer. We don't know yet.
Right.
But we do know that the first episode comes next week.
Yes, the 27th of January. So we will...
Next episode, we'll be covering it. Yeah.
Yeah, we should be.
We will.
Let's see. Oh, here. Recently, the company who made this produced Harley Quinn and the Joker, Sound Mine, and DC High Volume Batman. And most recently released Star Trek Con, all having reached number 1 on podcast charts.
There you go. Steady hands.
Speaking of Sonic news,
yes,
may I throw this one at you? This was one I thought was cute and interesting from this week. We learned that the box art for Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games, there was an interview conducted with a former Sega of Japan producer named Ryo Hasegawa, and he gave us a small look into what it was like to work on the crossover game. And I guess initially the team had Sonic's foot in front of Mario's, as though he was winning this neck-and-neck race. This shouldn't be neck-and-neck. Everyone knows Sonic would win. But Nintendo insisted that Mario's foot either be ahead of Sonic's foot or at least be equal, because it's equal in the final box art. So I assume that equal was fine. Because in the final box art, Mario's not winning. Doesn't look like he's winning that race, right? They look like they're exactly equal. But that's the kind of thing that it's like, I think that's a nice story to just sort of bring up quickly, because I think sometimes fans will assume that these small details get overlooked. And there's kind of no small detail that gets overlooked usually with these. Like, there's enough people and eyes on everything that everything is getting probed for different ways that it could be violating a brand guideline or doing something that they don't quite wish for.
I think that's true of Nintendo. Sega, I think, in some years has been a bit more lax.
That's true.
And my evidence here is the entire RG run.
That's true. Yeah, I mean there are some counterpoints on the Nintendo side too, the CDI games and earlier the Mario movie.
The brands did clean up their acts in recent decades.
Yeah.
Do you think this is maybe Mario's a little less above it all and secure in his place as a video game legend than we thought? Like, to me, this humanizes dear Mario.
He may have looked at that picture and he got all. Oh no.
He tells his agent, like, "Come on, man.
I'm supposed to be winning. I won the console war," and he continues, etc.
They're like, Mario, it's Mario and Sonic. It's not Sonic and Mario. He's like, I know, but my foot.
Yeah, and nobody's telling them that they're both running in boots, which
they're not
silly. Shouldn't be running in boots.
They should have switched it up, wearing some Nike high tops. That's what.
Yeah.
Are they called high tops? Does anyone call them?
I don't know if there's any other news that you want to bring up. I'll just say briefly that there's another Fortnite rumor, but that's all I'm going to say.
Oh, okay.
That's all I'm saying.
I guess the other big story would be the soft announcement of a Crush 40 World Tour. I think that seems like a big one, right? People.
Yeah.
Last year, the year before, I forget. I don't know how time works. There was the Sonic Symphony that was a big deal, a big success. People have been hankering for live Sonic music. But Johnny Gioli, he was on a pod. What is this podcast called? It's called I Am Johnny Gioli. No.
It was an interview with All Things Nintendo.
Right. All Things Nintendo. Brian Shea, I don't know. He sat down with Johnny Gioli and he was like, Shea? Man, I don't know. Like Shea Stadium.
There, you got it.
I got it now. If it doesn't say stadium after it, I can't read the word.
That's fair.
Right. So he's like, hey, December 2026, I believe is what he said in the interview. They're kicking off a, quote, live immersive Crush 40 World Tour. 63 cities around the world. And he was like, oh, it's going to feature some of the most visually immersive technology ever seen. He's basically saying that he wants the concert to be like a story in itself. Like there is a narrative going on with the songs. And it's also meant to be his last hurrah, because he also mentions, hey, I'm getting older. I want to spend more time with family. I've been running around on tour forever. Has he? I guess. He does other things that aren't Crush 40. And yeah, so he wants us to be the last hurrah, 63 cities. He mentions special guests, but there isn't much more information. We don't know where. We don't know prices. We don't know if it's like, is June on board, or is it just Johnny running with the Crush 40 name? Will there be a full band? I hope there's a full band.
And does this sort of confirm that there's no more Sonic Symphony?
Yeah, I guess because there was that one random listing of like, oh, hey, there's tickets here. And then everyone sort of downplayed it and nothing came of it. So the symphony might be over and done with.
My guess is the symphony will be on ice for a while, but even having watched it 2 years in a row, I thought, if they separated out the rock part, they could hit all the cities once a year and sell at a club rather than a room like the Dolby Theater. So I would not be surprised if they do that. But I don't know. This to me also seems like a fever dream of Johnny's. Like, who kicks off a world tour in December? That's actually when most touring bands go home.
Go home. Yeah.
Most visually immersive thing, but also it's in 63 cities. There's not that many venues that you can do high-end stuff with. Once you get into Knoxville on a Thursday night, I don't know how good you're gonna be on the visuals. You might get a projector.
Might. Yeah.
Yeah, it depends if the AV club has got it or...
He is a little vague on the details.
I think it's either going to be awesome or there's going to be a lawsuit, or maybe both.
Well, yeah. Maybe one of the special guests will be Ken Penders, and he'll stroll up and I don't know.
Put a pin in this. We were talking about Jolly's early career before he got involved in Sonic. What was Ken Penders' early career like? Let's not dive into this now.
Okay.
Later.
Yeah. I know. We know it off the top of our heads, don't we, David? It's just because he didn't. I mean, there was some experience, but he was doing like.
He did a little work for DC in Star Trek and Captain Atom, and he did some other stuff for other smaller publishers. But Sonic was really his true big break. Like, that's what got him kicked off.
And just for the listeners' edification, David didn't look that up. That was straight off the top of the dome. Ken Penders' early career, drop of a hat. Okay, so I think that's all the news that's fit to be newsed this week. Right, David?
Yeah, because other than that, it's just we're sort of in the sea of teases. I mentioned the 35th anniversary. After we recorded, there was just a, hey guys, isn't Sonic great video put up on the YouTube. And also a piece of art called Sonic Rewind, which is just done by...
Kind of a collage.
Yeah, it's a collage of Adventure 2 CD and Frontiers done by Retail Incentive, IDW, Comic Artist. I mean, Loopy Loop is their internet handle. But yeah, Natalie Foundrain. There we go. Right, it's just a lot of, hey, some cool things are coming this year. Can't you? You can't wait, can you?
So more to come on the 35th anniversary celebrations. Chaotix, we know there's merch announced, but there's got to be a game in there somewhere.
We shall hope so. And we don't want to break down the 35th anniversary video, right? It was fine. It was a video.
Yeah.
It had some clips in it. What do you want? What do you expect?
Yeah.
Were there clips of everything? No, there were not clips of everything. There was no Deke shows. There was no Boom. But you saw the movies. You saw Mania Adventures. You saw Sonic 2. You
there
saw
was
Also,
a brief
Sonic
clip
Prime.
of X. Sonic X was
Sonic
there
X.
for a second.
Yeah.
Right, so there are three Sonic voices are in that. You had Ben Schwartz, Roger Craig Smith, and Jason Griffith.
Oh, and also Sonic Prime. So you have 4.
Well, he was
Other than
dubbed
that.
over. You didn't hear.
Oh, really?
Oh, you didn't hear his voice in the thing.
You didn't hear his voice. You saw
In the
him.
video.
Same thing with Eggman. Brian, was it Brian Drummond? He was copied over. You hear Mike Pollock instead. So
Interesting.
Gosh.
Yeah. But there isn't much to say except, yeah, I like Sonic.
I like Sonic 2. And I also like Bo. And I like the Rings of Saturn.
Rings of Saturn.
Rings of Saturn this week. I'm going to start on a more somber note. The Saturn community lost somebody who was an important component this weekend, Dan Fredrickson. He unfortunately and tragically died after a brief bout with cancer. So you can go to Sega Saturn Shiro. They have a nice story about this, and there's a link there if you want to try to help out the family. I've got nothing but nice things to say about Dan. He read my Rings of Saturn and pointed out typos to me, which I always appreciated. And I helped him out with a project that he was working on right up until the end, even from the hospital. He's trying to translate the sequel to the Saturn game Blazing Heroes from Japanese into English. And he made it quite a way through it. And some fans are picking it up and continuing where he left off. I've contributed to that, and we hope it'll be out soon. He was nothing but nice to me, and I'll miss having him around. And it's such a bummer to have to do this. We did it for a couple of people this year, and hopefully no more. So that's the somber news out of the Saturn world. Back to the normal reverse engineering and hacking fair. I took a look at a pair of games for the Saturn. These are Japanese exclusives based on the Lode Runner franchise. So this was an American series that inexplicably got big in Japan. It's kind of a puzzle action game. And what's interesting about these two games is if you watch the credits closely, they tell you, hey, there's some special bonus puzzles you can do if you put in the right sorts of names. And it'll fly right by if you're not paying attention. But it caught my eye, and I looked. And I found you can put in a special name and get these bonus puzzles. It hasn't been really published for one of the games yet. I also found there's a couple other special names you can put in. Another one gives you the credits sequence, which is kind of like an outtakes thing, like you might see in like a Jackie Chan film, maybe. A little bit of humor in the Lode Runner series. And another one gives you a puzzle that was only ever previously available in a Japanese demo disc. So if you missed Saturn Super Volume 8 and you want to play that puzzle again, I got the codes for you. So that's our Rings of Saturn update. Back to you, Grant.
Thank you, Bo. And we're going to be joining our guest, Aaron Long, in just a moment. But first, we're going to check in with our buddy Barry at Sega Bits to hear what they're talking about this week on Sega Talk. Barry?
Sega.
Hey Sonic Weekly listeners, Barry from SegaBits here to tell you about what's going on at Sega Talk Podcast. On the latest episode, we go through the Sega North American box art design from the Master System all the way to the Sega Dreamcast. Over on Patreon, we look back at Sonic the Hedgehog 2 8-bit. You can check that out on Patreon and in 2 weeks on our main feeds. You can check that out at segabits.com or search SegaBits on your podcatcher of choice. Now back to the boys.
All right, thanks, Barry. And we are back in Act 3, Part 2 of the show. Excited to have this guest return. He had previously been on the show, I want to it doesn't matter what, a couple years ago. Great episode, though. We talked about all sorts of Sonic stuff. We're going to talk about more Sonic stuff. You know his work from Sublo and Tangy Mustard. He's directed Tuca Bertie and BoJack. It's Aaron Long. Hi, Aaron.
Hey, good to be here. Good to be back.
So to catch you up, Aaron, the previous week, and kind of all the time, we are thinking about Sonic Adventure. And last week we were talking a lot about Sonic Adventure and how it came to be, and sort of looking at Sonic R and Sonic 3D Blast, and then the sort of development and conception of Sonic Adventure. But we ran out of time to talk about the game itself, Sonic Adventure. So I would like to start by asking you, what was your experience with Sonic Adventure or the early 3D Sonic games? Do you remember when you first played them?
Oh, yeah. I mean, more than anything, because I didn't play. So I remember the hype, especially, of like Sonic's finally going 3D. And it felt like, after, Crash Bandicoot and Mario and Spyro, it's like, when are we going to get a proper full 3D Sonic game? So I, was playing like demos of it at Toys R Us and friends' houses. And then I don't think I actually got to play through it until it came out on the GameCube. I played Sonic Adventure 2, at like a friend's house, but Emerald Coast was the only level I got to play for like years.
Yeah.
But I loved those games so much.
Did you play Sonic Adventure 2 first, or did you play Sonic Adventure 1 first?
I think I played 2 first, but that
would make sense.
I felt very familiar with 1 already from the demo and like reading strategy guides and that comic adaptation and the Archie comic. There was like a lot of like, everything but the game itself.
You're playing it in your mind as you read the strategy guide. Yeah.
That was a big thing.
I would do that
Sonic
as a kid, like read the guides for a game that I didn't have yet.
There were so many different like streams of Sonic that you could kind of like, you could be like, okay, well, I read the comic, I've heard the soundtrack, I played one level, I've basically played the game, right? But, like, obviously not. But yeah, those games mean a lot to me. I know them very well.
It's really fun to look at Sonic Adventure and Sonic Adventure 2 in isolation, I think, because on the Dreamcast and the GameCube, at least for a while, those were that, like Sonic Adventure feels maybe like the end of the classic era of Sonic, but it's also, of course, the beginning of the 3D era. And then Sonic Adventure 2 almost doesn't even feel like a sequel to Sonic Adventure. It's like very different, but it's also the same. That sounds so stupid, but like,
no, it's kind of doing its own thing. Yeah.
It's kind of like rebooting a reboot. Yeah.
Yeah, the first one in retrospect feels much more like a bridge between, it's like in a lot of ways literally halfway between the aesthetics and, tone of the earlier games and then the darker stuff in Sonic Adventure 2. Darker and, trying to be cooler and stuff.
The first adventure also is like recapitulating some of the earlier elements, right? You've got the Echidna ruins that you saw in Sonic and Knuckles, and you've got Knuckles fighting Sonic. It's like, let's do that again, but in 3D.
In case you missed it, in case you didn't play the Genesis games, this is all the stuff that happens in them.
Sonic Adventure is all about in case you missed it, because in case you missed the scene with, Amy and Sonic from this point of view, here's Sonic and Amy from Amy's point of view. Here's Sonic and Amy from this point of view, which is really fun. And it's the only game. I mean, I know Bo's operating theory is that the whole series is operating on this kind of like, very subjective point of view. There's no objective truth sort of Rashomon theory, but this is the only game that truly like does that. It makes sense that Sonic Adventure started as Sonic RPG because the RPG storytelling elements are very front and center with this game.
Heroes has a little bit of that too, right? I forget if the cutscenes are the same or what, but I remember there's a lot of, anyway, we don't have to get into Heroes. There's a whole other can of worms, but the cutscenes in that are pretty funny.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about the cutscenes in particular, because everybody's kind of made fun of the really exaggerated facial expressions in Sonic Adventure. And I'm just kind of curious, from an animation perspective, from an animator perspective, you've directed animation, you've done indie projects on your own. Can you like get into the heads of the animators of why they made these decisions and like?
Yeah. I was thinking about it. I suspect it was just because comparing Sonic Adventure to Sonic Heroes in particular, which is I think the first one where they really have like cutscenes that don't feel sort of awkward and janky in comparison. Sonic Heroes has like 20 minutes of cutscenes in the whole game, but Sonic Adventure has, I don't know, what feels like at least an hour,
That sounds right.
There's just so much story told through the cutscenes, and it's all in game with the character models. The Sonic Heroes ones are, I guess, FMVs, so they were probably fairly limited. And also, I wonder how good the rigs were too.
What I love about them is you can hear the characters drop into the scenes.
Yeah. At the beginning, you always
their
hear
feet hit.
The footsteps fall down. But yeah, it's hard to miss, when Sonic is talking and like his ears are moving and his eyes are bulging, and it almost just looks like in 3D, bad rigging but I don't think it is. I think it's a deliberate choice. I suspect it's because I guess the alternative, because they wouldn't have had time to fully animate I don't know, at least an hour or whatever, however many cutscenes there are in the game. You couldn't really practically do that at that point, especially with the idea of doing it in game. So I think the solution was either basically a lot of stuff moves and maybe it looks okay from far away, or just the mouth is flapping, and
right.
But they also have the sort of stock gesture, like Robotnik is always swiping his arms around and doing the sort of Super Sentai villain moves while he's while he's talking.
That's true.
I like the exaggerated breathing too. Like you can really tell they're like.
I thought he almost looked, as the first time I saw that as a kid, it looks like he was surfing or something because he has his arms out. He's kind of doing that all the time, bobbing up and down.
That was one of the things that you mentioned playing the Sonic Adventure demo. I did too. And the animation of the characters, the lip syncing, that was something that for some reason I thought would be possible to be fixed before the final release. I was, of course, definitely wrong. But I was like, oh, well, this is a demo. Surely this won't be like this in the final release. And then when it came out on GameCube, the graphics go through a bit of an overhaul. They do new models for the characters to make them fit the Sonic Adventure 2 a little bit better. And yet the animation of the facial expressions and stuff is still kind of the same. So I guess that does speak to the rigging theory.
It's weird. At that point, they were like, oh no, the classic animation, we can't touch that. It's legendary, part of the game's mythos.
Chaos Emerald.
Or I guess the real answer is they had $15 and they weren't going to spend that on reanimating a thing.
Exactly, yeah. I feel like that's what you were saying. This is just the demo. They'll probably fix this by the final game. That's such a, it's a recurring phrase through the Sonic fandom over the years. It's like, the final game's not going to be like this, right?
That's true. Yeah. That was the cycle for a long time. I think we've broken the cycle.
It doesn't feel well, depending on the game, I guess, but they generally feel finished in a way that even now when you play Sonic Adventure, did they run out of time to fix this stuff? As much as I love it. I will say though, that opening cutscene, one of the few proper video ones, that still gets me hyped every time I see it. The way Open Your Heart is like cutting in and out with the radio frequency noise and drum beat. The sound, what sounds like some person just going splash. You know what I mean? It just sounds like a guy making a splash noise with his mouth.
And then really, I like how it's it all the music stops for a second. There's a pause. It's like you're in the eye of the storm and the eye of chaos. Literally, we spend a little bit of time for it to open. I guess that's probably deliberate. Eye of the storm, eye of chaos.
Yeah.
I think that's why they did that. Maybe. But yeah, we were talking about that last week too, of even just thinking about it, think about the order of it. Each image in that is seared into my brain. Obviously, you've got Eggman standing on top of the egg carrier. That's an amazing shot.
One of the coolest moments he's ever looked. Yeah.
Tails flying past it, a windows exploding on a building. Amazing. The coolest he's ever looked. Big the cat just looking up, looking fantastic.
That's all he needs to do.
Yeah.
Well, we were saying last week you could close your eyes and just listen to that and still get hyped. It's working on a couple levels.
It really is. It's because it was released before the game too, right? It's like a trailer or something.
Yeah.
Right.
You had to get the real player out to...
Right, and they've had other cool opening cutscenes, but not quite synced to music that gets you quite as hyped as much as that one does.
The Sonic Adventure 2 one where they're kind of running past each other and stuff. That one's cool as well, but it doesn't have the same holy shit, Sonic is entering 3D, this is going to be better than ever kind of.
Right.
Yeah, Sonic Adventure 2 at least doesn't spoil the ending in the opening. That's the one downside of the Sonic Adventure thing is David pointed out that's the whole ending. They just gave it all away.
I mean, technically they spoiled the ending before they announced the game properly. The teaser commercial for the Tokyo Forum presentation, hey, we're going to show you Sonic Adventure, has the CG of the cars crashing in the water going through the
shooting up of the sewers.
Yeah, they show that to you. And you're
they were proud of it.
It makes the final, the scene when you see Chaos in game with his really horrible looking model. It's such a rough transition from that from that cutscene to the in game.
A rough transition into lower poly 3D is what it sounds like you're saying.
Yeah.
Is my memory correct that we know within the last few years that it was Oshima who did all the storyboards for that?
Oh, really?
He did work on. I don't know if he did all of it, but he did work on it. Yes. I mean, he did a lot of things that he wasn't properly credited for in the credits. I mean, he helped with character design. He helped with.
But he gets field design or something, the smallest possible credit in the
really?
Actual game.
Right.
Oshima.
Right. And something with
all
the.
Over it, yeah.
Something with the cutscenes. I forget exactly what he's labeled
cutscene
as.
Consultant or something.
Exactly. But yeah, his role is definitely underplayed in the credits itself, even though I guess the behind the scenes video that they put together where they're all hanging out in these Sonic Team offices, Oshima is front and center when it's oh, look, here's Naka and Oshima's standing next to him. They're the two, they're Sonic Team. Even though,
I mean, that they're the Lennon and McCartney of Sonic Team, I think. But for Sonic Adventure, Oshima's specific credit was story event coordinator and event motion designer. So maybe it was Oshima that was modeling all of the heavy breathing where it looks like they're jumping up and down on a trampoline, or who knows.
It's funny because event coordinator sounds so doesn't do it justice, but I guess the story events are the cutscenes, right? That's their translation.
Right. Yeah, you see that in Japanese games. Or even the soundtrack has like the cutscenes labeled as event.
Yeah,
True.
It's weird.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's funny too. I feel like within the context of the game, like not the cutscenes, but something that I think they really struggled with for a while was the speed with which Sonic takes a step. You know, because in the original games, he's like in the Genesis games, he kind of takes these slow, kind of heavy steps, and then as he accelerates, he gets going faster. But in Sonic Adventure 1 and 2, you can be like just kind of like barely nudging the controller, and he'll be doing like Marvin the Martian footsteps, like 50 steps a second, and then once he gets going, he's doing the Naruto run thing.
Right. You have to be extremely careful if you want Sonic to casually walk.
Yeah, Sonic doesn't walk casually. Yeah,
He doesn't want to, but you know, it feels wrong if he's rushing into the shower. It feels like, you know, in Casinopolis, he should slowly walk into it. It's
he should be like, you know, if you're barely touching it, he should be sort of strutting with some swagger or something, you know.
I would try to like get him to walk slow enough to where he would like almost do the cover pose where you get his like feet far enough apart, and is like, it doesn't quite work, and obviously you don't have enough camera control to like get a good angle or shot of it. That wouldn't stop me from trying in that little area of Station Square, where I would also spin dash up the steps of the train station.
Oh, I love spin dashing around all those, like Station Square especially, but just the adventure fields, trying to like, you know, get across them with a single spin dash and then a jump or something.
100%.
Station Square, like if I woke up in Station Square like tomorrow, I'd be like totally fine. Like, oh yeah, I know where the train station is.
Oh yeah, I know a place I can sleep. I go to that hotel.
Yeah, this is fine.
You know where the news,
where to go to work.
Right, the newspaper.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stay off the highway during rush hour. It's a little nuts, but
know where to get some entertainment at Twinkle Park.
Maybe this is going too far, but I love every single one of those NPCs more than I love my own family. I don't know if that's going too far, but I really have a soft spot in my heart for Mr. Know-It-All, for the guy that owns the building, for the daughter whose dad is disappointing her, for the couple that's the guy's cheating on his girlfriend or his wife, the burger shop
couple. Oh yeah,
couple.
You're rooting for those kids the whole time,
right? Yeah.
And you start off with like the bikini ladies.
Yeah, that's right. That's what makes it feel so RPG-ish. You can just go up and talk to anybody, and they'll be like, "Oh, I heard there's an event tonight at the park or whatever." You know, they all have some little thing to say.
They're so funny too, especially in Mystic Ruins, where like they're all surprised that Angel Island. They're like, this mountain just appeared out of nowhere. We were looking for Angel Island, but this mountain just sprung up. Like, no, it fell from the sky, you fool. You should ask the kids in Station Square who know about the plot of Sonic 3 Knuckles, because he says you saved the world.
Exactly,
Angel Island,
that's right.
and whatever it says with Little Planet. Yeah, and that's something that I feel like is kind of missing from Sonic Adventure 2. Like the hub worlds, like you have like bigger Chow areas and more to do with the Chow.
I spent a lot of time in the Chow Gardens, yeah.
Yeah. Were you a Chow guy?
Yeah, I tried to be. I think I kept trying to get the Sonic Chow. You know, you feed them enough of the green drives. Was that what it was? And no animals, just green drives. I mean, I was like 90% of the time, if I was replaying those games, it was Sonic. Like I didn't, maybe Tails once in a while, but I didn't typically want to replay like the big levels or something.
But he's a cat. He's fishing. It's fine. Don't worry about it. There needed to be more fishing. There should have been a 12-hour fishing campaign, I think. That's what I would have done.
You brought up also the Archie Comics adaptation of Sonic Adventure, which is a very fun spin on the story of Sonic Adventure, which seems like the story as it's told in the game is pretty straightforward. Well, it's actually told not straightforwardly. It's told out of order, but there's a clear agreement on that this is the real world. Archie Comics says, what if that's not the real world? What if it's a simulation of the real world, and it's underground and it's a fake sky?
Right.
And
it's in a mountain.
It's in a
so
mountain.
Much stuff that
in a mountain.
You don't need to care
mountain,
about.
No less.
Yeah, that's right. I got so confused and excited when I saw that they had the OVA mountain in there, and then I was like, wait, what is this? That's nothing to do with the OVA. But there's so much stuff in that adaptation. Like they explain how Amy's design changed. They could just be like, oh, she put on a different shirt or whatever.
Right.
But instead, they're like, no, she actually aged up 2.5 years with the power of the emeralds or whatever it was, right?
She made a wish on the Ring of Acorns. It aged her from 8 to 12.
And there's a full issue story about how Sonic got green eyes and buckles on his shoes.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, exactly. They
Which
go to
was
such.
a parody
clunky
of a
pains.
Seinfeld episode.
That's right.
forget
Yeah.
Yeah, right. It goes told in reverse. Although I like that era of Archie. I think that was Carl Bollers who was the writer.
Yeah,
it
that's
gets very sci-fi.
Mhm.
You know, that's where like the idea that Mobius is a future Earth that
Mhm.
basically had like evolution restart because of
Right, the
atom
gene
bombs
bomb.
from the gene bombs. Thank you, from the alien race of the Zorda, who wiped out all life, and then life started to regrow, but humans and animals' DNA started to mix, and then you got anthropomorphic hedgehogs.
It's so
and
convoluted.
echidnas. Oh, it's
Right.
very
They could,
convoluted.
like, you know, as much as, you know, I appreciate the effort to make it all make sense, they could have just been like, oh, they found some humans in this city that they didn't know about or something. Anyway, Sonic Adventure story, you know.
Exactly, which is how Sonic Adventure presents it, which is so
Yeah.
appealing.
They spend like half of that adaptation being like, and then they go through the tunnel, and then, no, you know, like
Yeah.
the actual, I think the bulk of the Sonic Adventure game storyline is in the one special issue, like in the middle of the story. The first half is explaining how they get to Station Square.
That sounds like Archie. Here's why they have 5 fingers instead of 4.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
What year is the adaptation? It's like a little bit after the game, right?
It comes out around the same time as the game, which is the problem because Sega would probably, I think, not have given them an English translation. I remember in one of the letters columns, they said, we had Spaz, one of the artists, playing the game in Japanese and making notes about what he thought the story was so that
Good
then
memory.
they could write. Yeah.
Yep, that is what happened with it. I think
Yeah.
because Ken Penders was complaining about this as well. I remember somewhere publicly, and I guess by Sonic Adventure 2 they got that fixed a little more. Although there is no Sonic Adventure 2. Actually,
they just
no,
do
wait.
that weird preview of it,
Yeah.
right?
I think I'm getting mixed up though, because I think the reason that Ken Penders was complaining is that they're like, well, there is no Sonic Adventure 2 arc because they still were not giving us the games on time.
Yeah.
And so we didn't know, and it was harder to guess. Is that right, David? You would know. You know
Yeah,
everything.
they were basically, Sega did instruct Archie, you need to release a Sonic Adventure 2 adaptation, but they wouldn't give him anything. So instead they made it just a single issue, adapted what was pretty much known, which is like very vague shadow backstory and the city escape intro in the truck chase, because the first level was out in demo form, and that's when they began the, hey, you want to find out the rest of the story? Play the game, which of course
Yeah.
doesn't mesh with the world of Archie.
Didn't they do that with Sonic Shuffle too? They had like a kind of half-assed like 8-page storyline.
Actually, you're right. That was before, where it is just a little like, hey, yeah, there's Lumina and Void, and we'll have a good time together. Play Shuffle. We can't be bothered. Even though that, I'm sure Sega said, please do it. It was a backup story. It wasn't as important in the grand scheme of what the Archie writers were doing.
I mean,
The Sonic Adventure
Shuffle was
2
a backup game.
Right. The Adventure 2 adaptation did force them to change issue 100 because some of the stuff that happens in 101 was meant to be in 100. So the whole thing kind of got
Oh, that was so
thrown
awkward.
off
Yeah.
their plans. But they did finish adapting Adventure 2 in Sonic Universe issue number 2, which Ian Flynn wrote, where he went, oh, I'll fill up the holes. Because Archie did have
Mr. Hole Filler, yeah.
Mr. Hole Filler, which Ken recently said on Twitter, that issue is going to be in the Shadow Files, the compilation that he is self-publishing, which I think poses a lot of questions that maybe we won't get into right now. That's going way off topic.
He keeps trying to like stir the shit, huh? Like anytime things are like, okay, well the dust is starting to settle, he pulls some new tricks out of his ass to like complicate things. Yeah.
Right, you can't get rid of Ken.
If you haven't said Ken Penders in a while, then he like lurks out of the darkness and is like, you want to know when Knuckles loses his virginity? I'll tell you exactly when. Like, no, please don't. I'll tell you.
Don't forget, I'm still here and I'm crazy.
Sonic Adventure does one of the things that I really like to see in the franchise that has become rare, but I think they're starting to bring it back, which is human society existing alongside the Anthro heroes. And I think it's better in the Sonic Adventure 2, Sonic Unleashed version of things, where there's a fewer amount of Anthro animals like Sonic and his friends. And it's not like how it has. I don't know if you've checked out the IDW series, but basically the status quo since 2017 has been that Sonic lives in Sonic's world, which is full of other like anthro rabbits and squirrels and whoever. They're just sort of like truly NPC animal anthro characters, but no humans. Like there are humans theoretically somewhere off panel that we never see or hear about because the Robotnik family we know has to have existed for Shadow to have an origin.
Mm-hmm.
That's almost like getting back to what the early Archie stuff where they're like, it's all just like squirrels and foxes and stuff, except Robotnik somehow exists. Don't ask questions.
It's come around full circle to that, except there's no Sally and Antoine.
Yeah, right.
Now it's
who cares?
Now it's Tangle and Whisper. Yeah. Sorry, Antoine. You were really just an excuse for that voice actor Rob Paulson to do a French accent.
Right. Man, we should write a show just for Rob Paulson to be French.
We could probably get it. We could get it in the door. I promise you, we'll get it in the door, and then they'll arrest us.
You guys probably know this much better than I do, but was there ever any clear reason? This is not really related to the Archie stuff, or Antoine. Sorry to change the subject from Antoine, but with the Sonic Adventure 2 cutscenes, they're so notoriously like incoherent. You know, with like the voices are like somebody will be whispering and the guy next to him is like screaming, and then they're stepping on each other's lines, but then there's like a 5-second pause, and then they go, "Oh yeah, you're right." And like, was there ever an explanation?
You eat those words.
Yeah. Like, who's to blame for that?
That's a great question. I don't, because often it's just Sega Sound Team that we could probably, I bet if we looked through Moby Games or Sega Retro, we could probably identify specific individual names.
Right.
But I don't know. It's a very strange decision. Just like an artistic decision.
I feel like I have heard something about this in the last couple of years, like something to do with the timing of the scenes, and
it almost feels like they're programmed at like a different speed than they're playing or something.
Yeah.
You know?
That's exactly it. I remember hearing about this too. I know what you're talking about, Bo. Take this with a grain of salt, but what I had heard was that in Sonic Adventure, the lines are very far apart, right? It goes, ha ha ha, that's Chaos, the god of destruction, you fool. Like it's like long pauses between Sonic looking at the gutter to like panning up to Eggman and him saying those lines. There's long pauses. Mm-hmm. So it's either long pauses or it's like on top of each other to like be part of the same file, so the same executable thing that's going, like it's got to like wait until it can load the next.
Yeah, so it's like a technical constraint. Yeah.
Because I feel like when I was looking at Sonic Adventure or Sonic Heroes cutscenes recently, I feel like that's where they finally, I mean, again, those ones are just like video, but those ones are satisfying to watch by comparison because it's like, oh, they finally got it right. And I love Ryan Drummond's voice. Like, I think some of the voices in those games are hard to appreciate in the adventure ones because the execution of the cutscenes can be so clunky.
Yeah.
But like, he sounds great as Sonic, especially by the time you get to Heroes. He sort of has a solid handle on how to play him.
This is a great point. We didn't cover this last time, and we should have. The voice acting is really good. I think. The voices are good. The acting is
it's like the direction
is terrible.
Yeah, the direction. I was wondering, like, that could be partly what's to blame in 2, especially.
Yeah.
Famously, they didn't know any of the context for the lines. They would just be like given a word on a piece of paper, and then it was like, say Chaos, the god of destruction, and you assume the context.
Oh my god, that's terrible direction or non-direction.
Yeah,
but was it Dean Bristow? Is that the guy who played Robotnik? I always thought he did a great job.
Me too.
Regardless of, sometimes the lines sounded like, you could tell they were out of context, but he sounded good. He had the right kind of vibe for Robotnik.
And they shuffled and reused them too.
Yeah.
I feel like they always had trouble with Tails. They never
Tails
really got a solid Tails voice.
Well, I really like Colleen as the current Tails.
Oh, yeah. I mean, in the adventure era,
But in the adventure era, like, I kind of, like, even though I wouldn't trade Colleen for this, I do sort of miss the actual kid actor version of Tails, who, like, has a lisp or, like,
there was a charm almost like
something.
The Peanuts specials,
Yeah.
There's some charm to being a real kid who sometimes doesn't sound like he understands the words he's saying.
Right.
The Heroes especially.
Yeah. I was going to say Heroes is where he sounds the most like he doesn't know what he's saying.
Right. Well, because, I mean, in Heroes, that, what is his name? Corey something? He is just the child of of a couple other voice actors. It's not like they went
really?
and yeah, at least with Sonic Adventure they did do tryouts and stuff, but in Heroes they went, we need a kid because the other one aged out again.
We did not inherit the voice acting
it was part of a long tradition, because even in AOSTH and SatAM, Tails is a child in those two productions.
In Japan, is Tails a child, or is who voices Tails in Japan?
Is it just some adult woman?
Yeah, an adult woman whose name I don't remember.
Well, because the reason I bring it up is because the Sonic has had so many different voices in English, but the Japanese Sonic voice actor has always been the same person.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
oh, that's cool.
They basically it's been locked in. They had to replace Eggman because his voice actor passed away, and I feel like there might have been one other switch at some point, but it's been very consistent over there, which I guess is just kind of how things are generally when it comes to like a Japanese production versus an American one.
Yeah, I think we talked about when the movie came out, there's one guy who always does Jim Carrey in dubs.
yeah.
All of his movies.
Yeah, they have dubbed voice actors cast to specific live action actors, which is so weird, but kind of makes sense. I feel like Amy also sounded pretty good in like all through the Adventure and Heroes era.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think so.
Like, I mean, her character is like often written to be kind of dumb, so maybe it's not the most talented, but I think she did a good job.
And gets worse. Like, I feel like she's best in Adventure, a little worse in Adventure 2, and then terrible in Heroes.
Right.
Yeah,
in Heroes, she's forgotten all of her character development. It's thrown out the window. Yeah, I think all of those voices, even though I don't necessarily, like the current ones are fine. Some of them can be really good, but there is something about that first wave from the late 90s and early 2000s that I feel like still fit the characters, and they haven't quite gotten there since.
I would agree with that. I think for me, it might be totally nostalgia talking, but like I fully think that the best they've sounded, not necessarily the best they've been performed and acted, but the best like just tonal, what their voices sound like aesthetically, is that Sonic Adventure 2 Heroes era.
Yeah, I agree. As much as I love OVA voices, I'm like, it would fit the adventure style, the tone and designs,
Yeah.
I think it's a layup for Knuckles. Like, who's the best sounding Knuckles ever? It's obviously Adventure Knuckles.
Yeah. Didn't Ryan Drummond play Knuckles in, was it Shuffle?
Yeah.
It seemed like they kept changing Knuckles' voice too, yeah?
Yeah, Knuckles got switched up. It's different between Adventures 1 and 2.
I just think it's crazy that Sonic Adventure makes a pretty big splash. It's the Dreamcast launch game. They do a lot to hype it up. It's kind of the company's Hail Mary throw because the Dreamcast needs to succeed. So if the Dreamcast is going to succeed, it's going to need this Sonic game to really take it there.
Mm-hmm.
And yet Sonic Adventure 2 already deviates from what Sonic Adventure is, and then Sonic Heroes deviates further. So basically it's not until Sonic Frontiers that you get another game that's kind of like Sonic Adventure.
Yeah. It's weird because I guess some people complained about the adventure fields being slow, and obviously there's for years people were complaining about there being too many characters to play as, so then they kind of went overboard in the other direction.
Yeah, it did feel like for a long time Sonic Team was just listening to the loudest detractor and trying to tackle that without even thinking anything beyond that. So, we got rid of the adventure fields. Oh, you think there's too much story? We got rid of that in Heroes. Oh, there's too many people? Well, first we're going to give you Shadow because we got a lot of letters that kids want Sonic to have a gun. Oh, but after that, I guess we'll do 06.
It's like they were constantly taking like left turns, and they never got to go too far in any one direction for a while until I guess they, at a certain point, they kind of stuck with like one style and tone. But
right, yeah. By the time they get to Unleashed, then it's like, okay, the games like have this boost. They work in a certain way. But yeah, from Adventure through 06, as somebody in our Discord pointed out, it's kind of like each game is reinventing the formula, and that is maybe the quote-unquote rough transition to 3D that Sonic experiences. Not that each individual game is rough, maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but just that it's not coherently smooth as one.
Yeah, there was a lack of cohesion of what to expect from like a 3D Sonic game for a long time.
Because even though the Mario games, the early 3D Mario games, 64 to Sunshine to Galaxy, they don't play exactly the same.
No.
There's different mechanics in Sunshine, different objectives, but they do feel similar from a similar base. The move set doesn't change particularly much, and the way that the rules of the world, they don't change unless there's like a variant thrown onto it, like in Galaxy or Sunshine.
Yeah,
but they definitely feel more connected.
Yeah,
they're a little better at iterating too. Like, okay, you liked this in the previous game, we'll keep that, but then we're gonna throw in this new thing. We'll see which of that parts of that you like.
In the same way that the Sonic Genesis games did, with like
yes,
spin dash, different moves and the shields and things.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody was pointing out too in our, again, shout out to our Discord. You can join it by emailing us sonicweeklypodcast@gmail.com. But somebody was pointing out there, shout out to Jam, that from as early as Sonic 2, Sonic Team is looking to get into 3D with the special stages. And then Sonic 3, early development, they're looking at isometric 3D, which comes later, but they're looking at it. And the idea that that Sonic 2, CD, 3, and Knuckles are iterative is almost accidental, because they didn't necessarily set out to make Sonic 1 4 or 5 times. But that's what happened because time... It's like, it's the same with Beatles albums. Like they didn't have so much time. So it's like, yeah, well, you got to do what you can with your guitars and bass and drums, and then pump out Beatles for sale. Or
The forgotten Beatles album. I mean, heck, even with the original Sonic Team was still wanting it to be 3D in a way. That's why the palm trees are drawn the way they are. The background to the special stage is inspired by an experimental 3D film that Sony put out to show off Laserdisc.
If you look at that, you can see it's directly inspired by it.
Yes, they just stole it. They just stole the exact thing and the exact morph. Like, I don't know how someone didn't get sued, but
even this seems so obvious, but even the fact that the rings rotate seems like they want you to be thinking like, oh, this feels 3D.
So I guess to them the future was always, it's 3D. We want 3D. I mean, heck, even, I don't think I ever played it, but the game Labyrinth, which had Yasuhara and Oshima working on it, I think, isn't that kind of a dungeon crawler in a pseudo fake 3D sense, or am I misremembering that?
That's my understanding as well. I've never played it either.
Yeah, so I think...
But they've got the arcade guys over in the other building,
right,
making 3D stuff. They went in on that.
Yeah, exactly.
It's what they wanted.
They're at the water cooler with Yu Suzuki, and he's like, "Oh, we're doing this great stuff with."
Yuji Naka was so jealous of Yu Suzuki because he had to be U2. He couldn't be U1.
Heated Rivalry Season 2. The two U's.
The two U's.
It's like in my elementary school, there was another guy whose name was Aaron. His last name started with an L, so I couldn't even be Aaron L. I had to be Aaron Long. It was my whole name every time.
The kid who introduced me to Sonic, shout out Travis. There's another kid with the same first and last name in the same grade.
Whoa!
It was wild.
Wow!
And their parents were friends.
That's a travesty. So the school should have I was going to say that's a travesty. I didn't mean it. I wouldn't even mean it as a pun. But the school should have stepped in and been like, okay, we have to keep these kids apart. Like, they can't be at the same school.
We're going to flip a coin. Somebody gets the middle name.
Heated Rivalry Season 3. Travesty.
Travesty is pretty good.
Did the one parent steal the name from the other?
That's what I always wondered.
I feel like they did it on purpose. Whoever was the slightly younger one, they had to.
I just heard there was a baby born in the next hospital with this name. It sounded cool. Let's do it.
Somebody rushes over. Okay, you gotta name him Travis. You gotta. Okay, we're running out of time, but Aaron, I wanted to lob a few Sonic questions to you.
Oh yeah, sure.
Have you ever considered, or have you ever done in any of your projects, included any Sonic references hidden within your work? Has there been a moment where you're like, oh, this would be a good place for, a Chaos Emerald with the same expression, or I don't know.
I feel like there's little stuff that seeped, probably little lines that I forget even come from Sonic or something. In Sublo and Tangy Mustard, Mr. Woo Bomber, their boss, he owes a lot to Robotnik's design. He's this fat guy. He doesn't have a mustache, but he's this fat guy with little tiny classic Robotnik glasses.
Yep.
And then Tangy Mustard's shoes are kind of like Tails' shoes.
Oh yeah, I can see that
a little bit. Other than that, I can't think of too many intentional things.
Yeah, the red and white; those are Tails' shoes.
Yeah, exactly. But it's so kind of just in my DNA as an artist. I learned how to draw by copying the Archie Sonic comics. So it's that's, whether I intend it or not, I'm still kind of how do you draw like a fist? Oh yeah, that's that panel in my mind. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is probably as helpful as it isn't helpful, I would imagine.
Yeah, depending on, I liked certain artists, yeah.
Yeah.
And there's other, I wasn't copying many hands, let's say.
Right. Well, we're kind of out of time. Is there any last thoughts about Sonic in the early 3D adventure era? We've been a little all over the place. We'll always return to this subject again and again. So Aaron, thank you for spending some time with us, and David will play us out.
Oh yeah, that's right. We've hit the magical hour. The magical bewitching hour. And
the hour mark.
The hour mark. That's right. See, unlike Sonic, we always have a smooth transition to the end of the show. I swear. This is when I just give up and then start over again. Hey, guess what? You've reached the end of another episode of Sonic Weekly. That's right. We hope you've enjoyed what you've heard. And hey, if you haven't already, tell me if you've heard this one before. You should subscribe to this podcast using your podcatcher of choice. Be it Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or for the Android faithful, Podcast Addict. Give us a rating, give us a review, and whatever podcatcher you use, it helps us. We appreciate it. The magical algorithm appreciates it. But if you reject all podcatchers, and I don't blame you if you do, we are also on YouTube at Sonic-Weekly. You can like, you can comment, you can subscribe, and our voices are joined as always with footage recorded by friend of the show, Jack of Old Games. And hey, even if you're not subscribed to the YouTube, but you're on a podcatcher, we have we've got the shorts. You got to start mentioning the shorts. I haven't figured out the smoothest way to do that, but our editor Altsynth, he's been putting them together, little bite-sized nuggets of Sonic Weekly goodness straight into your feed. Share it around, or keep it to yourself. Keep it a secret. Shh. But you should probably share it. Why not? Hey, look, you want to reach out to the show? SonicWeeklyPodcast@gmail.com. Drop us a line. Let us know what you're thinking. Let us know what you want us to talk about. And as Grant said, it's the only way to get a link to our Discord server. Ask for it, we'll send it off, and soon you'll be talking to some like-minded Sonic the Hedgehog fans about many things up to and including Sonic T. Hedgehog. Well, if you're able to, we also have a Ko-fi. That's right, we're just Sonic Weekly over there. Throw something into the tip jar, or for $5 a month, you become one of our executive producers, just like PigDan, Pabsy, Sonikku, SavingThrows, Belgarion, Ratliker, 63, Dr. Hate, PhD, Sertoo, and Butterbeerhawk. And as I am required by law to say, you are all exceptionally smart, talented, and we all think you're really keen. Hey, but if you're not able to, that's perfectly fine. We're just happy that you're here. And hey, tell your buddies, they're all welcome. Gotta thank Altsynth for editing the show and doing the Sonic shorts. Whoa! Or not Sonic shorts, our shorts. Whatever.
Sonic Weekly shorts.
Sonic Weekly shorts. Yeah, we could be like Bart Simpson and we could say eat my shorts, but instead of eating them, you should watch them. I'm workshopping it, don't worry about it. Thank you, Smoovies, for the Rings of Saturn jingle. Hey, thank you also, Aaron, once again, for joining us on the program.
Thanks, David.
And as always, thank you, Grant and Bo. Thank you, Bo and Grant, for being here, for joining us, for talking Sonic with friends, as friends, being friends. We are friends. I think we're friends. You're not lying, are you? Okay.
Not being
I would
paid
give
by
you
your
a kidney
parents.
if you needed it.
I would also give you Bo's kidney. Bye, David. Thank you. We love you.